What's up, weirdo? Shade Tree Surgeon here, and today we're going to do a little bit of work on the XS650. Although I do have a few things to get done before we start working on the bike. Now, I know in the last video I said that the next video I do, we're going to be welding the tank onto the bike. Well, I still haven't bought a welder yet because the welder that I was recommended by Lee Stewart, thank you very much, my friend, costs about 550 bucks. So I'm still saving up for that. But I do have some other stuff with the clutch that I need to get done on the bike. So we're going to go ahead and do that today, but before we do that, I gotta unload and clean up my dirt bike because I had a race yesterday. I'm actually feeling pretty damn beat up right now. It was a really rough race, but you know, you can't let your dirt bike sit around with dirt all over it, even though it's in the name. So let's get that unloaded, cleaned up, and then on to the next thing.
Well, it was a dirty race and it shows. Keeping your dirt bike clean and doing constant maintenance on it is just a reality when you're racing or if you're just riding off-road in general. But constant vigilance is what pays off, and the bond that you create with the machine that you race on is actually pretty spectacular when you have to work on it all the time and when you're constantly tweaking it and maintaining it and fixing things. It's really pretty neat. Maintenance on something like this and keeping it in tip-top condition is actually quite a joy. It's part of the pride of ownership that really makes this whole sport fun. All right, in order to properly clean a dirt bike, in my mind, you need 4 different things: a pressure washer, undiluted simple green, kerosene, and a towel. Now, before I do anything, I spray the dirt bike off once before I put any kind of cleaner on it. Alright, now that I've got all the big dirt knocked off of it, you can still see it's still pretty dirty. Like, you've got like these smears all over it, and I don't know if this is going to show up on camera or not, but it still looks pretty nasty. So then now I spray the whole thing down with undiluted simple green. And when I say the whole thing, I mean I use this stuff liberally. The kerosene's a degreaser, so I use that on the engine and the chain. I let all that stuff sit on the bike for a couple minutes, and then I spray her off again.
And after that, it's time to dry it off with a towel. And that's how you clean a dirt bike, or how I clean my dirt bike anyway. There's probably some people watching this who are saying some stuff like, well, that's a whole lot of rigmarole to go through after every single time you ride your dirt bike, because I do that entire process after every single time I take it off-road. I know there's plenty of dudes out there who are just like, ride it hard and put it away wet. I don't have time to clean my dirt bike. I'm too busy riding it. Well, that's good for you, but there's a couple of different reasons why I take so much care in taking care of my dirt bike and making sure that it's clean. The first of which is just a pride in ownership. You know, I didn't have a dirt bike when I was a kid. My family could have never afforded something like that. You know, I didn't have a dirt bike till I was old enough to buy one myself. And guess what? That's a pretty expensive dirt bike right there. And I had to bust my ass to be able to afford it. So you better believe that since I paid so much money and I worked so hard to be able to own that thing, I keep it looking nice. I don't want it to look like a pile of shit. I want it to look as nice as possible. The other reason I take so much care in getting every single speck of dirt I can off the thing after every time I ride it is because of the old saying, rust never sleeps. The effects of dirt and dust and all this stuff on and in and around your dirt bike is cumulative. And by the time that all the culmination of all those things being on your bike for so long really start to show, by that time it's usually too late and it's going to be expensive. So it pays to pay attention to the little things and to keep it looking nice and to clean it and to go over every little part with the towel and make sure it's dry, because it brings to my attention things that might need attention, things that might be loose, things that might be broken, etc., etc., etc. So, like I said, wash your dirt bike, man. All right, guys, I swear we're gonna work on choppers eventually, but before we get into that, I wanted to share something with you real quick. So somebody sent me something kind of special. So I got this in the mail. I had no idea it was coming, and this is the Shade Tree Surgeon logo as done by Skip Sampson at 1603, and this is, I think this is actually made out of wood and painted, and if you can see, I'll bring it close here, this is all like 3D, you know? 3D, I'm so freaking stupid. This is all raised. This is really, really nice. And thank you so much to Iron Dinosaur Land Speed Racing. So cool of you to send me that. He sent it with a note saying, hey, here's just a little something to throw up in your garage and stick on the wall. And that's not just a little something. That thing is pretty badass. So I just wanted to share what he does as well, because I was looking into it on his Facebook page and it's pretty fucking cool. This is a picture of his car, if the camera will focus on it. He does land speed record runs in this old freaking land speed racer that they're constantly tinkering with, hence the name Iron Dinosaur Racing. Anyway, go check him out on Facebook and on Instagram. I'll have the links to those down below. Once again, man, that is so freaking cool, and yes, I'm absolutely gonna send you a sticker to slap on the side of the Iron Dinosaur, and it'll be the fastest Shade Tree Surgeon sticker to ever go on land. Alright, I think that looks pretty fucking cool up there, but in addition to hanging that up, since he was so freaking cool and sent me that, I'm gonna hang his picture up too. I've got this awesome frame, and this 3x5 fits in there perfectly, and it's joining the wall of shame behind me as well. So I appreciate that. Big thank you. Check out Iron Dinosaur Land Speed Racing. This guy is doing some pretty cool stuff. If anyone was ever wondering about the other stuff that's hung up here, this of course is the Shade Tree Army Wizard done by Ken Dean. That's done by this guy Poo Doodles on Instagram. He's an artist I really like. He's got the fat dirt bike rider here, which I identify with, and Dreamin' of Wheelies down here, which I think is a pretty funny one as well. Of course, the Naked B-Rad. The guys at AIM Expo put that one together for me and gave me Chad Tree Surgeon in a framed picture there. And of course, YouTube certified motorcycle builder from the one and only Ichiban Moto, and the Butt Summoner from VNM. Alright, so what we're doing today is trying to fix my clutch issue. I've had a lot of problems with this. If you guys have been watching the videos, you know one of the issues I have is the clutch has a really heavy pull and you can't really shift the bike very well. In fact, you can't shift it into neutral at all while it's running. One of the things that someone had told me it might be is the push rod that actually goes all the way across the engine to engage the clutch. They say sometimes that can wear out. It's actually 3 pieces, 2 rods and a ball bearing, so I ordered another one from Mike's SS that is a solid piece. I also ordered a new clutch actuator from Mike's SS. Mike's XS. You know what? That's actually harder to say than you think. But before we put any of that on, we gotta pull this off, so let's get to it. Alright, I'm not exactly sure how to change the rod, so I'm going to go ahead and change this clutch actuator first. The one from Mike's XS is supposed to make it have an easier pull, so I can at least test that out before I even change the rod and see if that's going to help. And even if it didn't need to be, even if that doesn't help, this stuff in here is pretty old and probably original equipment, so not a bad idea to put new stuff in there anyway. This was almost only hand tight in here, so definitely needed a little bit of attention. Wow, yeah, that was barely in there. All right, we'll thread in the adjuster right here with its included stop. So I was able to get the original ball bearing out of there with a magnetized screwdriver. The problem is it's a 2-piece push rod in there. This is the first piece, and that's kind of a bad design. So what I'm trying to do is put this 1-piece push rod in there so there's no slop and there's no play. Now what I have to do is get the other half of the push rod out of there. I'm not sure how to do that. One article on a forum said just
pull out the dipstick and blow compressed air into the engine, and this will pop right out. That seems pretty ridiculous, but I'm gonna go ahead and try it.
All right, so I'm pretty skeptical that this is gonna work, but I've got my blower tool here. I've wrapped some duct tape around it so I can create a little better seal. I'm gonna stuff a rag in there, wrap it around this, and see if I can blow the push rod out of the engine. I don't have high hopes, but I'm gonna give it a whirl.
All right, here goes nothing. Keep an eye on this spot right here and see if anything flies out.
Much to nobody's surprise, that didn't work at all. Basically, this is it until I get a welder, because I don't want to duct tape the gas tank back on there. When the gas tank is finally on the motorcycle to stay, I want it to have bungs, I want it to be welded in, so I can't really even test out this new clutch actuator until it has gas and until I can ride it down the street. All right, guys, it's the next day. I figured that very little that we did to the XS650 really wasn't enough for a video, so I'm actually going to work on that a little harder and try a little harder to get that inside rod out. And on top of that,
my friend Robert, who you'll remember from Robert of the Bonneville and Robert of the Speedmaster, has brought over his Bonneville cases right here. We've got the primary cover, the clutch cover, and of course the chain guard.
We're gonna leave the scratches on her and make sure she still stays ugly, but
yeah,
I want her shiny though. That's
well, you look at this stuff. This is pretty common. This bike was, before Robert got a hold of it, probably lived its life, at least part of its life, outside, and probably with this one facing the sun.
Yeah, she spent 8 years outside on the porch.
So what happens is with this stuff is it looks like garbage, but this aluminum on the newer Bonnevilles actually has a clear coat on it, and that while that can protect it for years, what happens is once that clear coat starts to go, with it being outside, it really looks like garbage. And before you can polish it, the clear coat's got to go. So we are doing crackhead work today with all the work that I've done polishing the covers on the XS650. I've learned a couple things, and we're going to apply that knowledge.
Fire.
And Robert brought beer.
Yeah.
And there's a kitty. I swear it's alive. All right, so this is the stuff we're going to use to take the clear coat off, and this is nasty business. So gloves are definitely in order, and we're actually even going to take it out into the yard, just away from any of the bikes, so that any errant breeze doesn't get it on any of these paint jobs. All right, time to scrub these up. You can be aggressive with it. It should be coming right off like it was never there. And after we get these all scrubbed off, we will pressure wash them, and then it's time to make them look real good. Better than it was.
Yeah, better.
Real good. Real good is not something I'm really able to do, Robert.
I'll settle for real evil.
This is still part of my learning process here. So I practiced on the XS650. These will probably look better than that did, and maybe the ones I did after this will actually look decent.
Yeah, watch this.
All right, let's bust out the pressure washer. And since I like my camera, I'm going to put my camera away for the pressure washing part. You guys know what it looks like, okay? But I don't need this shit spraying up. Oh my God. Just to let you guys know how serious this stuff is, it is actually starting to melt the gloves.
Spicy. Ouch.
So they're already looking better, but better is a relative term. What we're going to try to do, though, is save that Triumph thing right there, because it took the black off of it, but it's still etched in there. We don't want to scrub that out, because that actually creates a pretty cool looking effect. So we're going to cover that up with duct tape. And I say, even though I like things to be perfect, I'm not saying I can make them perfect. I just like them to be perfect. I would like them to be perfect. How about that?
One thing I have learned when you're polishing aluminum parts, one of the things you want to do is I've sanded wood, so I'm used to going in circles. But what I found out with aluminum parts, it's much better to go back and forth and create linear scratches, because linear grooves and linear scratches are much easier to make disappear than swirls are. So I created a bunch of swirl marks on the Yamaha cases. Hopefully we're not going to do that to Robert's stuff. Okay?
All right, cool.
All right, we're trying a slightly different method than I used on the Yamaha. Basically, we're going to do this all by hand, and we're not going to use any power tools, except maybe for the final buffing procedure. So Robert and I are going to put on some good YouTube videos. We're starting out with 400 grit sandpaper, and we've got some soapy water here. And basically, we're just going to stand here like crackheads and go back and forth for about an hour with the 400. And what I would do is long stroke from one side to the other.
Let's just come right off.
Okay, so we were messing around with doing it by hand, and originally I thought I was going to do the whole thing by hand, but that was taking a really long time, so we've decided to start cooking with gas.
Adapt or perish, as the saying goes. So we're going to bust out the mouse and use these things and see if we can't just speed up the initial process a little bit. So let's see how this works. I've never actually used a mouse on aluminum before, but theoretically...
What?
Yeah, theoretically should work, you know?
Safety third. So it's working. It is still kind of slow going up here. So if you can see here, this is what basically the really hard parts. Like we were kind of getting this pretty good, but coming up here, this and these little cracks, this oxidization here, this was really going to hold us up. So that's where we really needed to cook with or use some electricity. I'm gonna go at it for a couple more minutes, and then we'll switch off.
All right, cool.
Sound good?
This part is done. Once one part of the mouse is done, we can move on to assembly line style, and I can start hand sanding while Robert does the mouse, or vice versa. We'll figure it out. But again, Robert is learning what I already knew, that perfect is a sliding scale when it comes to polishing aluminum. But this is the difference between this. Exactly.
All right, now that Robert's moved on to the next piece, we can start doing this assembly line style, and I'm going to start hand sanding this piece over there. You're keeping your battle scars, man.
Good.
Now they're staying. We would have had to have gone to a way rougher grit to get rid of those completely.
Good.
So, this is where we're at right now. And again, it never shows up on camera. It always looks better on camera. And while this does look a lot better, hopefully we're gonna get a lot better than this.
One more spot, he says. Guess what, Robert? There's always one more spot.
Hey, it's the chain guard. This is going to go away. I don't know. Here.
All right. Now, since we go hardest to the biggest part, which is actually the easiest to do. Always hardest to easiest. So Robert says, as we sit here with his bike apart, still polishing. Before the Bonneville, he'd never touched a bike with wrench before.
Never in my life. So I bought this Bonneville, and I worked on like your cars occasionally. I could change oil, whatever else, right? That's it. So this Bonneville, it's okay. We're gonna do this. And my motivation was, you fuck this up, you wind up dead. Really gonna rebuild your own brakes? Yep. Rebuild your own calipers? Here we go.
Not a bad motivation to do it right.
When I started this, I was like, what a good idea it'll be to do the whole thing by hand, to do something different from the last time. That ended up not working.
No. But we're getting results like this.
Yeah. So we're still getting there, but we have stopped working by hand and we're cooking with gas, baby. Let's bust out the wheel.
I gotta keep remembering to let Robert do certain things like rubbing the leftover rouge off, because it is so satisfying to see the fruits. We've been at this for hours, by the way.
Yeah, about 4. I got here at 5. It's about 10 o'clock now. 5 hours.
My Lord, have mercy. This is what you work so fucking hard for. Whew. That shit looks fucking good. You can't even see it yet. You can't even tell on camera. This shit looks fucking dope, dude. This is why it's worth all these hours, all this bullshit fucking polishing and sanding and resanding and breathing aluminum dust, is because when you're done, this shit looks so fucking dope, dude. I'm like, I love this shit, man.
I'm gonna take this one down.
I really wish I could convey to you guys exactly how satisfying it is to see these things look like this right now. It feels so fucking good to watch them go. Turn that sucker around, Robert. To watch them go from fucked up, ate up. Like, not, I mean, they didn't look bad, but they were just,
They look bad.
They didn't look like this.
No.
You
And
know?
actually, you can go ahead and we'll do this way here, and there you can watch TV.
And we ain't done yet, but
No.
you could shave in these things. And it's just, yeah, you could get them powder coated. Yeah, you could hit them with a can of spray paint. But we did this ourselves. So we're at the point now where we're on the mother's mag portion of the of the polishing process. And now that I have this primary color halfway done, I want to show you guys a difference. Like, you think this is okay. You're like, oh, that's good. That's okay. Until you hit it with mother's mag and you're like, no, that's okay. That's what I want. I want this. Watching that happen before your very eyes is one of the most amazing feelings ever.
Eight hours later, it's at least 8 hours, isn't it, Robert?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, exactly.
Good, solid. We just did a day's worth of work on these things, and this has got to be the end of the video because we're fucking whooped. But like I was saying, Robert, the difference between having something done or just spray painting them or just taking the easy way out and actually taking the time and doing it and sitting here and having beers and laughing and making these things look nice with our own two hands for the past 8 fucking hours. For me, that's the difference. That's the difference between just having a motorcycle and loving motorcycles. And we love motorcycles, so we take the time to do this. And even after all of that, is it perfect? No. Even after all that work, they look pretty damn good, Robert.
They do.
I'm proud of them. You're proud of them.
They're fucking amazing,
I know, you're
man.
going to be proud to put those on your motorcycle.
So that's just part of the bike now. It's like, damn, I gotta do the rest.
We fucking did that, man. We sat here and we fucking did that with our own two hands.
I don't even want to touch them. Like,
I know, dude. It feels fucking good, man.
it does. Feels good to be done. Feels really fucking good to be done.
Till next time, guys. Keep it weird.